And Shabbat Shalom. Welcome.
Welcome. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to the Torah portion here in Light to the Nations. This is what you have to say.
Okay.
It's so good to be with you all once again in Shabbat to continue the study of the book of YaHuWaH, Leviticus. I don't know if you are going through the same, but I think week after week we are so eager to get into Shabbat.
Yeah, we need
because the weeks are getting so busy lately, so complicated. And most probably some of you are going through also busy times and hectic weeks, and just having in our minds the hope and the expectation to get into Shabbat is something, it is getting, I don't know, the need is increasing.
Yeah, the need for the company and abiding under the wings of YaHuWaH is, we need it. And I think that's why we are having all these trials and how do you say, the difficulties that we have to be overcomers of the difficult times. We are being moved so hard sometimes.
Yeah, but sometimes we need it.
Yeah.
So, we need it so much that this Shabbat, we even didn't have the chance to read the portion before as we usually do. So today we're gonna let the Ruach guide us, and we're gonna read it together here online with all of you. So we'll see what is coming to our hearts. And I have, as I always invite you, it's important that you participate in this study, making your comments in the chat, just sharing what the Ruach is putting in your heart regarding what we are going to read, what we're going to study. So that's the way that we're going to grow together. That's the way we can learn together the truth and the way of YaHuWaH. This week was particularly very stressful for us. We have been here, for some of you also have been a complex week. And this is no new. It's something that we have been talking for many years already. And we need to be prepared for the season of trials. And I think we see it all over the place. We just need to stay strong. And as you said, it's something that is a characteristic of the overcomers.
Yeah.
We can be physically exhausted. We can be emotionally exhausted. But we have something, and more than something. Actually, it's a particular difference. Is that we have the Ruach of Elohim with us. We have YaHuWaH that he make a huge promise that he will be with us until the end of the world.
Yeah, and you know what? I remember that even though our week was very difficult and stressful, and you have a lot of things to do, because it was at some point that you told me, I cannot even recognize you because we were not even sharing time, nothing, and a lot of things. But at one moment when you think that we were just going to be, I don't know how to say that expression, drop dead, that like you don't have anything more to give, then YaHuWaH, our beloved Abba, he made something that, I don't know, it's a miracle in front of our eyes sometimes with people that he put in our way, and little things, but he's showing us, well, see, maybe you have all that, but I'm showing you this. And then it was like a kind of a special booster energy and everything, and he's telling us, I am with you, so I'm not letting you go, so just grab my hand. So that's beautiful.
True. And I saw a comment from Camila. We are glad that you are here, Camila, with us back again. Oh, I see a lot of you, Yarash, DDK, Shannon.
And it goes,
Who else? Cornelia.
That's good.
Really good.
Yeah.
And I saw a comment here at the beginning, William. We see William here too. Yeah. And I saw somebody, Steven from Africa, from Kenya. That's beautiful.
Elysian
Seeker.
Elysian Seeker. Regina Abdil Yashrael.
She's from Alaska. So, it's fantastic. Yeah, when I see an email from Regina,
Wendy Moore.
I was telling her that this is so beautiful that we are in the extremes of the world, She's in the far north and we are almost in the far south. So that's the way that YaHuWaH is connecting us all. And one of the comments I see from Camille is piercing, even physically piercing. I was cutting my you can see it. I was cutting my finger with a knife. It was last Friday actually.
It was last Friday.
And it's so sometimes it's emotionally, spiritually, physically piercing.
Yeah.
And it's so relevant to the portion we're going to read today. But what's so beautiful in all of this is that I have the chance to tell you all the stories of what happened during the week, and also what was my understanding of everything is that even though that we are going through difficulties sometimes, when there are two things actually in the way that I see it. One thing is that the most important is that no matter the difficulties we're going through, if we rely and we trust in YaHuWaH, He is the one opening the door. He is the one
doing miracles.
Yeah. And I have no doubt actually we were able to experience a miracle in the middle of a lot of stress, and it was at the last minute actually.
Yeah, and before coming here, and then we have to drive. You have to drive 7 hours.
Yes,
in the middle
here
in the night,
3-4 a.m.
in the morning. Yeah.
But was so excited to see a miracle happening
that we didn't realize
that the trip was so short that we didn't have any. We didn't feel tired actually.
Yeah. No fatigue, so it was beautiful.
And it's not a miracle of healing or something, but it's something and experiences that it's impossible that you can do it by yourself. It's something natural, supernatural actually, that when you are able to see it, it's impossible not to recognize and acknowledge this is the hand of YaHuWaH doing these kind of things. So this is one area of what in the way that I see it is that if we trust in YaHuWaH, if we rely on Him and we wait on Him, and we do things according to His will, waiting on Him, we are going to be able to experience miracles, even though we are going through trials and difficulties. This is one thing. And the second thing is that, and I do believe it's a combination, when we're going through any season of trials or any difficulty, but even though that we are going through those situations, we take the post and do our part in the kingdom, bringing the message of the kingdom when you have the chance, and you know what I'm talking about, because I had the chance to do it this week, and also in itself was a kind of miracle, but when you do it, it's basically YaHuWaH is opening the door even more and helping you even more, because He sees that even though that you are going through those difficulties, you are not forgetting Him, and you are not forgetting your real purpose is that to bring the kingdom of Abba here on earth and preparing the ground for the return of Mashiach and bringing the light, being the light into the world. So I think those are at least the lessons of what happened to me this week. And that's my take on the two things: is to rely on YaHuWaH even though that we're going through difficulties, and in the middle of that season, not to forget Him, not to forget what's our real purpose, because by combining the two things, YaHuWaH will do even more.
Yeah, beautiful.
So it's something that for you to keep in mind, because we will go through situations and even more.
Yeah, and so, they're going to continue. The time, the swifting time, is hard and it's needed. It's needed, especially now. There's a lot of bad things happening here and contaminated and polluting the creation of our Father. But He's trying to rescue all that He can in order to remove what is not needed, what He need to take out of the camp. And He's going to, I know that He's going to take care with a lot of love and to keep us for that moment. So
absolutely, we need to be just to be attentive. And to use any opportunity in order to do the will of Abba. So let's move on, and we have a song to show with you, as always do here in this gathering. You know, music is so beautiful. One of the discussions I managed to have this week is that about music and how wonderful is music to Abba. And so, you know, when I started to put music in these gatherings in the past, you know, it's something that I was feeling for a while that is needed, because it's helping us to connect even in a different type of level with in symphony with the YaHuWaH when we sing praises to Him. So let's listen to this music, and we will continue a study after that. Here we go.
Receive
It's a beautiful melody and also the lyrics. And I managed to see some of the discussion over the chat. And you know, music is an important aspect in the worship of YaHuWaH. You know, it is written that the 144,000 are gonna sing a new song. It's the son of the Lamb and the son of Moses.
Yeah.
And this has been from the very beginning. So there's no doubt that the music and worship and praises to YaHuWaH is an important aspect. It's something that he created.
Yeah, and I think that we have to discern what kind of music, because you can feel when a music is with the right spirit, with the right words, and is with the purpose of praising him, and when it's something different. And maybe that's why some people in some churches, they're not comfortable with that, because in some aspects, some of the people are doing with another purpose. But we have to discern when we listen to music, the lyrics, the words, what we feel, and we are going to know when it's something for him or not.
True.
So, and in everything that we do, even the common things, even when you iron the clothes and things like that, when you're cooking, and maybe there are specific times that for you, maybe in the past, they were so common, but we have to take every moment, and we can praise him even with our thoughts. So
absolutely true. So let's pray to YaHuWaH. I want to give thanks to you in this new Shabbat because of everything you do for us. We acknowledge, that you are the owner of everything. You are the one that created us. You are the one that created everything. We belong to you, and with a humble heart, we want to come to your presence and to give praises to you, acknowledging that you are the only true Elohim, that you are the one sustaining us, you are the one giving us life. And we want to give our heart to you in this moment, asking that you can guide us in every step, that you can guide us every day, that you can sustain us every day. You can teach us of your truth and guide us in the study of your word today in this Shabbat. Thank you all, because even though that we are going through difficulties time to time, even though that maybe everything that is surrounding us is against us, we know that you are beside us. And we know that you are the one giving us the strength. And you are the one fighting the battle for us. Thank you all, because we know that if we trust in you and we wait on you, we see miracles. Teach us to wait and trust in you all the time. And teach us to do your purposes and your will every time that you are giving us the opportunity to do it. Give us the heart and the mind of your Son Yahushua, that we can act according to your compassion and your love, and also according to your righteousness and your truth every time. That we can hate unrighteousness, and we can love righteousness according to your kingdom. But we can always act in compassion in order to bring your light into this world. Guide us today in your word. Guide us with your Ruach. Fill our hearts with your presence. And I pray for blessings to your people here in this beautiful gathering, that you can be with each one of them, that you can guide their steps, that you can bring blessings to their lives in every aspect of their lives. For those that are participating in the chat, and for those that are listening, for those that maybe are listening later to study, that you can bring blessings to each one of them. I pray for those that we have not seen for a while, Pray for Yaakov, that you can be with him. Pray for anyone that is going through sickness or the difficulties, that you can extend your hand out, bring healing, bring peace, bring solutions to any type of problems. Because we know that you help us in every aspect of our lives. Prepare our heart, Allah, for the soon coming of your Son Yahushua. And prepare us, Allah, in order to be those warriors of your kingdom, to bring your light, to bring your truth, in order to bring your righteousness here on earth. Thank you, Allah, for everything you do for us. And thank you for your presence in this moment. We pray with all our heart, with a humble heart, with a thanksgiving heart to you. And we do it in the name of your Son, YaHuWaH HaMashiach, our Melech. Amen.
Amen.
So, portion 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Shalom and welcome to Parsha in 60 seconds. Today's portion is from Leviticus 14:1 through 15:33. It is called Metzora, which means one being diseased. God gave a cleansing ritual for skin disease. It involves 2 live clean birds, cedar wood, crimson stuff, and hyssop. 8 days later, another sacrifice would be made. God explained the ritual for cleansing a house with an eruptive plague. It involves some major remodeling and some birds as well as other things. God gave the ritual for all sorts of male and female uncleanliness. Many of these rituals involved a lot of cleaning and clothes washing and a week-long process which ends with a sacrifice. Cleanliness was very important to God. God told Moses and Aaron to put the Israelites on guard against uncleanliness, lest they die by defiling God's tabernacle. And that is Metzora in 60 seconds.
So I see that the Yeshua HaMashiach servant noticed exactly the same that we noticed when we were preparing the technical thing here in the broadcast. That the portion 60 seconds this time was slower than usual. And we have two theories to this, and maybe it's a combination of both. Yeah. First thing, most probably the brother that he prepared these portions, no more than forgot. Most of the time he's speeding up the video and the voice in order to make it more funny.
Yeah.
And maybe for this particular portion, it was a little bit slower. Okay, you can do this in this video editor tools. But the second thing that you thought, because you know the story and hearing the voice and he was coughing, is maybe because of that. You can share it.
Because maybe you don't know the story of the Shan. He was a young, adult, maybe 20-something. And when he started this project, because he really enjoyed working with the animation and things like that, he got a very serious disease. And during elaborating this project, he was getting every day ill. And I think that even because I was in contact with his brother, and to ask for permission to use these kind of videos that we can share it with you. And even when I was reading all the story, at the final moments of his life, he even couldn't record the last portion. So maybe I was thinking that maybe in this time he was with less energy and everything, and he passed away. And it was a lot of years ago, but I don't know why. I felt that and his contribution is so nice.
Yeah, it's true. So this is totally aligned to what we were discussing at the beginning. What I was praying. Even though that we are going through difficulties, we have a calling in our hearts to do something for the kingdom. We need to do everything that is in our hands in order to do it. And I think he's a testimony.
Yeah,
this brother is a testimony for that, and we are enjoying. We're enjoying what he did for the kingdom week after week. So let's begin with the portion. Let me put the scripture here on the screen, and let's go to the book of Leviticus.
And what is the name of Metzora?
14 is the name in Hebrew is Metzora. There's a few theories that we were hearing about this, but we didn't have the chance to go into the details just to verify this.
But I think that it was nice.
You wanted to share it?
Yeah, we were hearing from a Jewish brother, and he usually sings too. And he was explaining that the word Metzora is formed by two words. One is motzi and the other is ra. And motzi means brings out, to brings out, and how he used another word, so I don't remember. And ra is bad things. So he's saying that the Metzora, the leprosy word that we know today, is related when somebody was speaking about bad things about other people, like it was the case that you read the last week about Miriam, and she was talking bad about his brother. And so I think that maybe it's something like that. And also I think that it has a very important relation, because when we everything here, the healing process is bringing out bad things, infection, diseases, avoiding trying to avoid infection in all the camp, in all the place. So I think that it has some connotation, and I like the.
I think it's a connection. Yes, as you said, we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
We gave the sample of Miriam.
Yeah.
We were talking about Hananiah also, somehow as an example of going against the Ruach of Elohim. And so I think most probably there is a connection there. But even before going into the portion, because we have been reading this year after year, and we know that what we are going to talk about the process of cleansing the leprosy somehow, or the more than leprosy infections. And also in the chapter 15 is talking about emissions. If we want to try to understand why YaHuWaH is so interested in this type of things, and we have been talking in the past, especially when we talk about the parables of Mashiach. Even he was mentioning this in a very direct and clear way, that he was speaking in parables for the people that hearing not to understand. But even if we go into the details, and actually before that he was mentioning to the disciples, it was for them to understand the secrets and the mysteries of the kingdom. This is what Mashiach said. But even though if we go into the parables, and it's my belief is that when Yahushua is saying that even though that they are hearing, and by hearing they're not going to understand because he's talking in riddles, I do believe that he's referring to that they're not going to understand the mysteries of the kingdom. But when we read the parables and the riddles that Yahushua was sharing with the masses, even the stories that he was sharing on a very direct and basic level are some things that they can apply even in their lives, in the day-to-day lives, how to conduct ourselves in our actions, being righteous in everything we do. So considering that, I do believe, and I have always been thinking on this, that the word of YaHuWaH is teaching us in at least two levels. One is in a physical level, how to put into practice his word in our day-to-day, and at least in a second, and sometimes I believe maybe there's a third one, but at least a second, that is directly connected to the mysteries of the kingdom, and
in a more
spiritual way.
Yeah,
correct. So with that introduction, the big question is that why am I so interested in this in these instructions, in this portion today, we're talking about the cleansing, the process of cleansing the leprosy or the infections and bodily emissions. We know the first level is a kind of cleanness, but what's the second level about? What do you think?
I think that is purity, being clean and keep us clean in order to someday to take us into His presence. But the issue also that you were talking about different levels, I think that maybe something that is started in a very little way, like very common things, practical things. We always forget that we are not alone. We are only like a cell in our body. And we are that in the body of the bride. So I think that if He wants healing of the bride, He wants to have the bride ready until when she's going to be healed and she's going to be perfect for His Son. So I think that is what He is waiting. And we need to understand that we as a good cell, if we're trying to be good, we can keep that area safe. But if we are getting contaminated or getting a disease, then all that part needs to be removed, because like every disease, it's going to spread. So and that's why I think that Mashiach was always mentioning, you are the light of the world. You need to bright. You need to, from this clean area, needs to provide or to provoke the healing. So I think that is like a basic concept. In medicine is you clean a wound from the clean side to the other side. And when there is things that cannot be removed or they're still with the disease, you have to remove it. So I think, well, you can see in your...
No, in this one.
In the other one. Yeah.
This one.
And you have maybe a little scar. I don't know. But the idea is that He's going to renew everything, and we have to want to be from that part healed.
I think in one aspect is that is what we were talking last week or the previous one, and we were sharing the concept of the tabernacle and the temple, that there are different places.
Yeah.
Going from the outside to the inside or the inside to outside, depending on how you're looking at it. And that not everybody had the chance to go inside. It was for the Kohanim, and they needed to follow the Kohanim, the priests. They needed to follow a specific process of purification in order to be, as I said back then, in the same frequency of YaHuWaH, to be in harmony, to be prepared in order to have a clean and tahor, pure place. And if you remember, we were talking about that's the final intention and plan from YaHuWaH. He defined it. We were talking about that back then, is that He wanted to live among His people in the wilderness. And that's why he put some boundaries in a place that needed to be so special, so pure, so tahor in Hebrew, that not everybody was allowed to get in. And actually, even the people that they wanted to approach the place, no matter that they were unable to get in, but even though that they just approaching the place and the door of the tabernacle, they needed to be clean.
Yeah.
And that we discussed last week about all of this. We gave the example of Miriam, the mother of Yahushua, the physical mother of Yahushua, that they followed the commandment, the cleansing period, before even approaching the place for the presentation of the firstborn, Mashiach. So. And this is exactly what Elohim is doing, why he cleansed first the earth, his creation, with water. And we talk about this, the two type of cleansing process is water and then with fire. Water, unfortunately, didn't remove completely the infection.
The stain was more.
It was
deeper,
removed. It was removed temporarily, but infections once again appeared, and is here.
Yeah.
So next purification process by the hand of YaHuWaH is with the baptism that we were talking, the immersion on fire. Like he wants to bring that immersion on fire because it's going to be the final cleansing of creation. So it's true. All this, what we are seeing here, what you talk, is about approaching. In order to approach the service of YaHuWaH, we need to be in a clean process. If we are the temple of YaHuWaH, if we want to act in miracles, most probably we need to be in a tahor condition, in a pure condition, in order for the Ruach to flow through us, in order for the Ruach to manifest the power and the mighty power of YaHuWaH through us as a vessel. We need to be in a pure condition. But I think there is maybe an additional aspects of all of this. I don't have the answer, but we will read the portions. Maybe what we see here is somehow was the plan of Abba on what he's doing from the very beginning in order to restore his creation. And let me put an example, because before starting the broadcast, just was looking into the field, and you will remember this. And I was telling Lillian, in the other side of this field, there's a lot of weeds. And I was telling you, we need to pass we need to remove the machine, the tractor, in order to remove them. Because if you don't remove the weeds, and for those of you that maybe are doing some gardening, you will know that the weeds are spreading very fast. Yeah. And somehow eating the space and eating the how to say it, the nutrients of the soil
for the good
plants and the food actually. So I was telling her that there's a lot of weeds that we need to remove them in order to avoid exactly what I described. And if we go back to Bereshit, to the very beginning, where we see this pollution of the earth happening with weeds and so on.
With the punishment.
It was after sin.
Yeah.
So all these weeds that we see here, even in creation physically, is a kind of infection.
Yeah.
The earth is infected.
And you know what is funny? Talking from the practical point of view, remember when you asked me to remove one that we were having here? The first one was very tender because it was really little. I can remove it very easily.
And with only and so on.
With only my gloves, so I can remove it. But then I was looking a new one that it has more time, and I couldn't move it. Take it with my hands because even with gloves, because they have thorns that they were very dangerous. And I have to take a shovel, and I tried to take it, and it was almost impossible, but I have to make a very big hole to remove all the roots, because if I kept the root there, it's going to be even more stronger. So that's the purpose of cleansing, that we need to remove everything, and maybe we're going to have a very big hole after that, but at the end it's going to be covered maybe again with dirt, with soil, yeah, and it's going to be even better. But we need to do that work at the beginning, when something is just at the moment that is just being born, not wait seasons after that, because then it's going to be even more harder. And that is what is happening in the other side. Correct. That we haven't visited that side like for a couple of years.
So connecting this to the process that we were talking last week of Tasriya, now the Metzora, we're talking about infections. So if we think from that point of view, from that angle, all this process of cleansing that we are going to read here and also the process of the emissions connected to the to being set apart to the set apartness. Is connected to all of this. Is that YaHuWaH is bringing to an end the infection, not only on his biggest creation, that is a human being. He's bringing to an end the infection in the entire world. So I think when we see it like that, all these little details are bringing an additional understanding or aspect of the why YaHuWaH is so concerned about this. It's a way of living a pure condition. But even though that is intended to live in this way in a pure condition, by doing it, somehow we are representing and putting into actions in our own lives what YaHuWaH is doing on a bigger scale of things. How he's bringing that cleansing through all these aspects to the entire creation in order to remove the infection. And the infection is so good to see it, is that connected directly to the falling, connected to sin, is connected to disobedience. So meaning is that if we want to go in the other direction, in syntony of Abba, we need to work in obedience. We need to participate in the same way that we see the Kohanim, the priests here, participating in the cleansing process. That is also very funny and interesting that we see a few miracles of Mashiach cleansing the lepers, basically acting as the Kohen, as the priest. So we as Kohanim, as well as priests, as soon as we put this into practice in obedience to the word, we are somehow actively participating in the bigger plan that is basically removing the infection. Removing it here first, within us, helping to remove it from the bigger angle. Good, let's move on.
Yeah.
So you are going to read it?
Yeah. This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. 14th. And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe, saying, This shall be the Torah of the leper for the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall go out of the camp, and the priest shall look and see if the leprosy is healed in the leper. Then the priest shall command, and he shall take for him who is to be cleansed 2 live and clean birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop.
Hyssop.
Yeah.
You want to make a comment on that? You told me something interesting.
When I was reading this, it's like the same material that are here, like the cedar wood, the scarlet, and hyssop. It's like the same things that maybe not all at once and the same moment, but during the process of the crucifixion of Mashiach, they were present, like the wood in the spines of the crown that they put on their heads, and the scarlet, the scarlet
stake was a stake of wood.
Oh, also the scarlet, also in the robe, and also that they put, but the scarlet, that the red color that he bled because his blood, and the hyssop, what they used to bring the vinegar, so he could have some. So I don't know, I really found it very beautiful, because when you see this, that he with his sacrifice is acting in front of the presence of YaHuWaH and doing all the cleansing process, is really beautiful.
And that's why it's so important to see it in connection to sin and the infection that sin brought into the world.
Yeah. And the priest shall command, and he shall slay one of the birds in the earthen vessel of running water. And it's beautiful, because he was the running water. Let him take the live bird and the cedar wood and the scarlet and the hyssop, and dip them in the live bird in the blood of the bird that was slain over the running water. And he shall sprinkle it 7 times on him who is to be cleansed from the leprosy, and shall pronounce him clean. and shall let the live bird loose in the open field.
I have a comment here from the previous notes from previous years, is that here we see a parallel in these just a few verses you read from 4 to 7.
Yeah.
It's not a direct parallel, but somehow connected to the process of Yom HaKippurim, of the cleansing of the people. You remember that they have the two goats.
Yeah.
They have the two goats. One is being removed to the wilderness to Azazel, and the other one is being offered as a sin offering. And they're using that blood for the cleansing of the people. For sure, they're taking the blood, the Kohen Hadol, the high priest, and bring it into the Kadosh HaKodeshim in the ark. But again, we see two animals here in the process of cleansing. And this is being for the cleansing of the leper, and the other one is the cleansing of the people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those connections are somehow interesting.
And I don't know why I always make a connection between the birds and the thoughts. I think that maybe it's a kind of cleansing, and it says that they allow the live birds to go away.
That's beautiful.
So it's
because
like cleansing also from your thoughts, and you're going to be a renew mind or something.
Actually, that's very beautiful because of what we said last week, and you mentioned at the beginning of this one, is that the connection of leprosy or infections to bad talking.
Yeah, and for that, you need to make a change here.
You remember one of the passages we discussed last week is we brought in the study is what the Mashiach, YaHuWaH said, is that out of the heart are coming the bad things, good things, and what is contaminating, polluting ourselves, defiling ourselves is what is going out of our mouth. So we need to be careful what is going out of our mouth, because after it's going out, we cannot bring it back. So words, basically what he's saying, be careful of your words. Words are coming from the heart. Thoughts are coming from the heart. Birds connected to thoughts. Could be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm always thinking about, even though, and I consider the comment that I read after that, the comment that our brother, he was making, that Mashiach was representing all the sacrifices, and I believe that is true. But I also think that one part of us needs we need to make the connection how everything, every animal can represent also some part of our life in the action. Like, for instance, a big animal that is going to be for working the earth, like the bull, maybe the sheep, the lamb, that are going to provide some wool for the clothing. So that is going to be how you warm maybe some other people, your relation with some other people. The birds with the thoughts and things like that. Also at some point, I think that also we need to connect with the sacrifices. How could be our action, our relation, our everyday today, how is going to be connected with that sacrifice?
Correct.
And what I'm
8 from 8. Yeah.
Now. And he who is to be cleansed shall wash his garment, and shall shave off all his hair, and wash himself in water, and shall be clean. Then after that he comes into the camp, but shall stay outside his tent 7 days. And
9.
Yeah, and on the 7th day,
we can make the comment after 9 because it's connected to the one.
To the other one.
I know what you want to say.
No, but it was not here.
I'm reading your thoughts.
Sometimes you do. Yeah. And on the 7th day shall be that he shaves all the hairs of his head, and his beard, and his eyebrows, even all his hair he shaves off. And he shall wash his garment, and wash his body in water, and shall be clean.
No, you can make the comment.
No, you can make it, because
I will give you the honor.
Yeah, because when I was reading that, I was imagine that when is the time that you are like that with no hair in your body. And I think that is when a baby is being born, because they have, but they are not visible, so visible. Some babies, they are born with hair and everything, but not the majority of the babies. So it was a beautiful picture that we need to be born again. and that's the meaning. And at also a medical, or no medical, but like scientific point of view, usually the hair is the connection that your pore is going to be open, so the toxins from inside are going to go outside. So like shaving everything is like to keep the frozen moment in your life, something like that, that at that moment you are like encapsulating or something like that.
And just to complement what you said, we see here, the connection. Yes, it's a baby without hair, basically, but also connected to water.
Yeah.
Is washing his garments and wash his body in water and shall be clean. This is a connection with baptism, to be born again. And now, and I have been sharing this in the past, I see the process to be born again, and this is something that Nicodemus couldn't understand when YaHuWaH was speaking to him. It's a two-step process as well. Because first is to be born in water, and then to be born in spirit. And I'm gonna make the open question here, and I would like to see the answers. We know that being born in water is connected to baptism in water, is to be dying and being resurrected when we are coming out of water. But when is the baptism in spirit connected to be born again? When is that gonna happen? When is what is that process connected to? The two-step process of being born again, water is very simple, is baptism, but what about the immersion, baptism, being born again in Ruach, in spirit? I would like to see your comments here just to see what you think on this, and I will make my comment later on, but we can continue.
It was like a mystery.
Yes, it's a mystery.
And
10.
Yeah, and on the 8th day he takes 2 male lambs, perfect ones, and one ewe lamb, a year old, a perfect one, and 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and 1 log of oil. And the priest who is cleansing shall present the man who is to be cleansed with this offering before YaHuWaH, the door of the tent of appointment. Beautiful. It's like Mashiach presenting us in front of YaHuWaH. I found it so beautiful. And then
presenting, is presenting this person.
Yeah, in the process.
Let's a baby.
Yeah.
Because it says, without hair, bring
He
in.
was washed.
Similarly to what we were reading last week, he was brought.
With the baby.
With the baby.
He received a name, and we are going to receive a new name.
Correct.
So this is very beautiful. Yeah. And the priest shall take 1 male lamb and bring it as a guilt offering, and the log of oil, and wave them as a wave offering before YaHuWaH. Well, they're going to have the oil, so maybe with the oil usually you have fire. And he shall slay the lamb in the place where he slays the sin offering and the ascending offering in a set apart place. For the guilt offering, like the sin offering, belongs to the priests. It is most set apart. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering, and the priest shall put it on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of oil and pour it into the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall dip his right finger in the oil that is in his left hand, and shall sprinkle some of the oil with his finger 7 times before YaHuWaH. And the rest of the oil in his hand the priest puts some of it on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the blood of the guilt offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he puts on the head of him who is to be cleansed, and the priest shall make atonement for him before YaHuWaH.
And we can make some comments there.
Yeah, and it's so nice because when I think about the oil, I think about like the ruach that is revealing a lot of stuff. So I think when he put that over the blood is his sacrifice, the way that we are going to have like a new life. But then the oil is like the knowledge that is going to come with the teaching through his Ruach,
Mm-hmm.
what we are learning, all the process, and all these places that he is healing somehow. You're hearing the way that you are making, because on the big toe of your foot is what allow you to have the perfect balance when you are walking. So that is something very meaningful. And over your head is like everything, all your body, but mainly on what is coming here, your thoughts, everything. Usually we when we think about ourselves, even though we know there is a special connection between the mind and the heart, we see things from this perspective, from the head. So it's something very meaningful.
So you know the whole picture, when we see it connected to what we said at the very beginning, is beautiful, because this person that went through this infectious condition, was totally removed from the camp.
Yeah.
Was totally removed from the being able to participate, to gather himself with the rest. So it's like being, as YaHuWaH was speaking in some of the parables, to be in the outer darkness.
Yeah.
So in order to be accepted once again.
And it has also a two-step process, because he can enter into the camp, but not to his tent yet.
Yeah.
He has to wait 7 days.
Correct. He needed, in order to be accepted. And I'm think about this in the bigger scale. This is what I'm referring to, what we said at the beginning, is that righteousness, purity on the entire creation. Okay? And you remembered, it was last week, I think. I'm sorry that I'm jumping from one place to the other, but everything is connected. It was last weekend when we were comparing the pattern of the Mishkan, the Hel Moed, the tabernacle, with the pattern of the temple, the Hal, with the pattern of our temple, and with the pattern of the Gan Eden and the earth.
Yeah.
So Eden was the Kadosh HaKodashim. Israel, most probably, what I was saying, it could be the Kodesh place, and the rest of the world is going to be the courtyard. Okay? Or maybe not the courtyard, maybe something, but there is a similarity in the pattern of the Mishkan. So connected to what we're reading and what we said previously, he's bringing cleansing. He's removing the infection. And in order for us to be allowed once again to get in some of those places, we need to remove the infections that was originated by what? By sin. This is what we talk in the Garden of Eden. So who is the one that is allowed to enter into the courtyard of the tabernacle?
The Levites.
The Kohanim.
And the Kohanim.
The Kohanim. And the entire thing we see here, there is so much similarity to the process of ordinations of the Kohanim. You know, we read the parallel between what is written in the book of YaHuWaH, Leviticus chapter 8, verse 10 to 12. I have the notes here. With what is written in the here in the verse 15 and 18. You know, it's the entire process of cleansing. So let me put it in this way. I'm thinking on the kingdom is that we were removed because of an infection. And that we needed to be healed in order to go through the process of cleansing. With what purpose? To get the passport,
the authorization,
authorization of the permit to get in again. So part of this process, you know, you said at the very beginning, is the scarlet, and the cedar wood, the hyssop, and so on, connected to the offering of YaHuWaH for cleansing of sin. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. And as soon as we are clean, we need to go through the process of being born again. Basically, this is what we see in the process of removing the hair, washing in water, and purification. And beside that, all this process of the ordination, or the parallel of the ordinations of the Kohanim. And we know that we have been called to be a nation of kings and priests. So it's like here in this portion, he's representing all of this. It's just in one portion, representing all of this in the process of restoration, is the process of purification, the process of restoration of the kingdom of kings and priests. And for me, that's a really beautiful picture.
Yeah.
It's showing even in a earthly process that we can apply, as I said, in different aspects of our day-to-day. He's showing us what his full plan of restoration.
Yeah.
So before you continue, let me see what were the comments here. Let's see. Renewed mind, clean heart, circumcised heart, rebirth of Ruach, Keren. With fire.
Yeah, and this one also, I think that is like something related to what YaHuWaH said to the disciples.
What is written in Peter?
And not only that, he was telling to the disciple, if I'm doing this and if I'm suffering this, you are going also suffering from that. You're going to live the same experiences. So it's like the Kohanim and the rest of the people who is being healed. Maybe not everybody is going to be a Kohen, but we need to live the same experience.
We're going to be a Levite.
We need to be in the same state,
yes,
a clean state, like the Kohen.
Correct. Yeah, we read this on the book of Revelations, that the not unclean matter will enter through the gates.
Yeah.
So everyone that is going to be living and be part of the kingdom, we will be a pure life. So let's see who else right here. I agree, testing by fire for spiritual cleansing trials.
Yeah.
I believe YaHuWaH was speaking about the physical resurrection when he said, you must be born again. We are in one mind, Naomi Ruth. I'm going to explain a little bit my position. Born again referred to the new covenant. Born again, born from above, DK. When we are born into this world, we are cleansed. After that, we grow older, we sin, and to be cleansed again, we are washed in the blood of Yeshua to wash our sins away. Okay, so you know what I came to the understanding I got about these two processes of being born again. The first one we said is water, is very easily, but what is to be born again in spirit, as Naomi Ruth was writing, my understanding is that he's referring to the resurrection or the transformations of our body. Because what's going to happen, resurrection is quite clear to see it. People are going to be born again. Transformation is basically this flesh is going to die, a new flesh, a new body is going to be created.
That can resist the glory of the kingdom.
So that's why it's a two-step process, and this is the way that I see it, and I have a small study, I think, with a few passages and reference to that, and even it's connected to the study of the Revelation 12, of the woman of Revelation 12. Is that the first we need to go through the cleansing and the being born in water. He is the one that is going to doing the second part in order to be born in spirit, new flesh, new body, spiritual body. It's not by the intention, as YaHuWaH said, of flesh and blood. It's by the intention and the purpose and the work of YaHuWaH through his Ruach. So that's my understanding, and that's why we are in one mind with Naomi Ruth.
Yeah, and you know what? Also, we cannot enter with this body, because even though we take care of that and everything, this body is contaminated by everything that is around us. The air that we are, we have now is more contaminated than never. The water that we have, the water that we use to wash our bodies, are not the one that Abba created for us. We have a lot of products that maybe when we didn't know about that, but when you start studying about this, you are going to read even the labels. When you see a lot of chemicals that are very harmful for you, then you're going to realize I have to even stop using this kind of thing that in my past I thought that they were good for me. And a lot of those are creating and bringing a lot of diseases and things that are bad for you.
True.
And we don't know because they're being prepared with things that are not for us, that they have to be keep apart from us.
Absolutely
So
true.
I think that this body even is contaminated beyond what we can understand. So I don't know.
That's why I'm not gonna wash my hair anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I'm not gonna share publicly your experiences on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And this
Okay.
is up to you to share.
Yeah.
But why not?
Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, Corina. I see you here.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Shabbat Shalom.
So let's continue.
everybody.
Yeah, and to everybody. Yeah. So we are. I told you at the beginning we didn't manage to read this portion before, so that's why
We're starting it with you.
we're starting with you, and maybe we are a little bit be organized today and
Yeah.
more
Okay.
funny. But I like it like this actually. So
Yeah.
where you are?
I don't know.
18. So go 19.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the priest shall make the sin offering and make atonement for him who is to be cleansed from his uncleanness. Then afterward he slays the ascending offering. And the priest shall offer the ascending offering and the grain offering on the slaughter place. And the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be clean. But if he is poor and is unable to afford it, then he shall take one male lamb as a guilt offering to be waved, to make atonement for him, and 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and a log of oil, and 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to afford, and one shall be a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering. And he shall bring them to the priest on the 8th day for his cleansing, to the door of the tent of appointment before YaHuWaH. And the priest shall take the lamb of the guilt offering and the log of oil, and the priest shall wave them as a wave offering before YaHuWaH. And he shall slay the lamb of the guilt offering, and the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering and put it on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then the priest pours some of the oil into the palm of his own left hand, and the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before YaHuWaH. And the priest shall put some of the oil that is in his hand on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the place of the blood of the guilt offering.
Do you know why? I don't know. I'm just asking your opinion, and maybe somebody has some insights on this can make the comments in the chat. Why the right ear? Why the right big toe? Why the?
You have never
the
heard
thumb.
my.
Maybe
You're not paying attention.
I'm not paying attention to you. Maybe sometimes I'm wow.
Yeah, I know. From my point of view,
You can repeat it in order
can
to
repeat,
remember my
okay.
memories.
I'm always thinking about, it's like cleaning what you have heard. Because if you look your life, maybe in the past you have taken maybe idle conversation, stupid things that Abba doesn't want for you. And you were hearing and learning from that.
If I'm a left-handed and everything is from
why
the left.
is the left?
Why is the right?
Why is the right? Because,
Yes.
Because I think that the right is the right. Is the right things to do. No, I think, I don't know. I thought that you were asking for each one of those.
No. The other one is somehow clear.
Yeah.
Everything we hear, everything
where
we do,
walk,
yes,
and
where
all
we
that.
walk.
Yeah, and the right, well, he's one. I think that is something related like what Yaakov, when he was saying about Benjamin. He was saying that Benjamin was the son of the right hand. And I think is where you put your love. I don't know. And I think that is more easy for you. It's a natural thing to do. Usually for people right-handed. This is side that you are going to use. And a lot of diseases, I don't know why, when you are started to have some problems, maybe if you're going to fall, in my case,
you're talking about yourself now.
I'm talking about myself. Everything bad has happened in my left side. I don't know why.
Okay.
If I short-sighted, I don't know how to say that, I cannot read so well. I have more problems with my left eye than my right.
Okay.
And I think that maybe it's because we are made, two are made of one. Or I don't know, we are from one part, so maybe we are the right side and the left side, I don't know. It's like maybe but also, that's interesting, that we are being born from our two parents, yeah, dad and mom. And I don't know why, it always has called my attention. If I see my nose, I see that my nose, one side is like my mom's nose.
Okay.
And the other side is like my dad's nose. And it's the same with some of the fingers.
So you think that maybe the right represent the father and the left represent the
something
mother.
Maybe
is what you're trying to say?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, okay. Maybe. So maybe that's why. Maybe in this side, in the right side, is something related to him.
So you are like two faces.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And we are the result of two people. And there are some people, if you look, and even some people when the mother are going to, they are pregnant, usually they realize about that because the pigments are more strong, and everything. And they're going to realize that there is a line there. So you can see that you're in, like, I don't know, from the two...
You were glue.
Yes, something like that. And if you see in the...
Let's see the comments. So basically, I think most of the brothers and sisters here somehow are aligned with you.
Yeah.
So it represents the father somehow. Let's see, it's the right hand of YaHuWaH.
Yeah.
Is the right way.
And that's funny because
Yahushua is the right hand of the Father.
And when they're talking about the king and the queen in the Bible, I don't remember where is that scripture exactly. It says that the king is sitting here, but the funny thing is that the queen is at the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
You know what would be interesting to see, and this is something maybe we should take the time to do it. You know, it was last week. Yes, last week we mentioned about in a fetus, the first thing that is being created is the nervous system, with the spine and all the nervous system going through the body and so on. So, and actually, when we realize about this, we learn that electricity somehow go through the nervous system. So, you know how the body works is that in order to touch, to feel, those kind of things is going through. It's like any circuit using electricity, pulses and going through the brain, talking physically. Okay, so it is believed that there are certain areas on the body that are the points of the nervous system that are important. Okay, actually there are some how to say it, beliefs from the East, healing process, more natural process that are using this type of things. So maybe what I'm trying to say, maybe it could be interesting to study that maybe there is a connection between this part, and so on, with the entire nervous system.
Maybe it's
of the body.
You're talking about like a acupuncture or press, no sé.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they said that usually you have some point on your body that is affecting some other places.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe there is a kind of connection with that.
Yeah. Also.
We should take the time and study this.
Yeah.
So let's continue.
And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand, he puts on the head of him who is to be cleansed to make atonement for him before YaHuWaH. And he shall prepare one of the turtle doves or young pigeons, such as he is able to afford, that which he is able to afford, the one as a sin offering and the other as an ascending offering. with the grain offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him who is to be cleansed before YaHuWaH. This is the Torah for one who had an infection of leprosy, who is unable to afford for his cleansing. So the beautiful thing is that even though he doesn't have the same ways to make his offering, the process is the same. So we are going to have the same process, everybody. Maybe our offering, some people are not going to have the same offering, but
True.
we have to have an offering.
Even YaHuWaH was instructing the leper to go to the priest, bring the offering,
offering.
instructed by Moshe in Torah.
Yeah.
So we
It's
need to
something that
follow
we
the
need to-
entire. When I did the study about this and about righteousness, if you remember, I'm gonna appeal to your memory long
years
time ago.
ago.
It is interesting because one of the verses that I was using in order to get to the understanding what righteousness is when YaHuWaH is coming to Yom the Baptist.
Yeah.
And Yom the Baptist is somehow pushing him back, saying, but how come you're coming to me to be baptized when I need you to baptize me? Somehow, just to rephrase. But we know what he was referring to. And the answer from Mashiach is quite direct and profound and connected to what we're saying. He said, allow it because we need to fulfill all righteousness.
Yeah. So he cannot, he
cannot
cannot skip.
He cannot skip Torah. So we need to do everything we are being instructed in Torah, because by doing that, we're going to be acting in righteousness.
Yeah. So if some of you, I don't know, because sometimes people are believing, and I think that maybe they are waiting, or somebody's waiting, or needs, and maybe they think that they need to have a baptism. Maybe I think that even though you are you and you want to do that,
And me.
yeah, you and you, no, only you need to look for a special place and maybe do that again. Maybe you did a baptism in the past. Maybe you have done it because you were participating in a church. I don't know, different reason. But if you need and you realize now that, wow, I don't know, maybe the baptism that I did some years ago, I didn't feel anything, or maybe I need to do it again. I don't know. Maybe there are some...
Maybe you did it without understanding what was the
is the
significance
meaning?
and why is needed.
Yeah, I'm trying to say that. So maybe you have to pray about that, because I think that is something very particular and very personal. But maybe somebody needs to think about that.
I like your calling, actually.
And I don't know why, but I just feel it.
I like your calling because maybe for some reason we are talking about being born again, and we are connected all this portion to the restoration plan of YaHuWaH, to his kingdom, and that this is a critical process. Is the first step.
Yeah.
I do believe that if we are not going through the first step, we're not going to be able to go through the second step of being born again. We need to go through the water and then to the Spirit. Though we have the example of Cornelius that they did it in the opposite way. But it's the same thing that we were talking just now. We are called to fulfill all righteousness.
Yeah.
So okay, YaHuWaH decided to do it in the other way around, but that doesn't mean that they needed to skip the water.
At the end, you need to have all the pieces of the puzzle. So that is the issue.
So maybe, and this is something that we need to mention it as it is. Maybe the calling you are doing is for individually, maybe for us, if you are feeling convicted that maybe as it happened to us in the past, that even though that, as you said, you weren't through an immersion process in the past, if you were participating in a church, but you are feeling convicted that you need to do it again, do it. But there is a second part. If somebody is coming to you because he's feeling convicted to do it, maybe you should be there to help them.
Yeah, and to understand what is the meaning of having that baptism of water.
And you don't need to be a prophet. You don't need to be a pastor. You don't need to be a big person, an important person to conduct a baptism. Keep in mind that the disciples of YaHuWaH were
in the learning process.
And they were conducting baptism. What is the important thing of baptism? We should do you should do, not me because I don't have time, but you can do it for me. A short study about baptism, because it's not a difficult thing. It's just to understand first. When I came to the understanding about what sin is, baptism is related to forgiving of sin. So that's why, every time that they were going to the immersion of water, they were confessing their sin. Were they confessing their sin to John the Baptist or to somebody else? No.
To YaHuWaH.
They need to confess their sins to YaHuWaH. But in order to confess the sin and understand what you are doing in immersion, first you need to understand what sin is.
Yeah.
So if you came already to that understanding, you can easily guide another person that has been convicted to go through baptism and help them. In that way you are going to be acting as a witness of the kingdom, as a light into the world or to the nations, and preparing the ground for the kingdom of YaHuWaH here. So don't be afraid somebody else is coming. The Ruach will guide you on the process. Okay?
Can I continue?
I think so.
Yeah. And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, when you come into the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as a possession, and I put a plague of leprosy in a house in the land of your possession, then shall the one who owns the house come and inform the priest, saying, it seems to me that there is some plague in the house. And the priest shall command, and they shall empty the house before the priest goes in to look at the plague, so that all that is in the house is not made unclean. And after that, the priest goes in to look at the house.
Give me a second, because I for some reason I remembered. I have not seen Shirion here on the chat.
Oh.
And I just managed to see an email from them yesterday.
Yeah.
And they are going through some difficult situation. I'm not gonna mention what it is. But they ask us to keep them in our prayers, and we're doing so. So I want to ask you, all of you here listening and joining us in this gathering, to lift Shirion, Dennis and Debbie, they are Shirion, in your prayers, so YaHuWaH can help them through the process they are going through and bring solutions to the situation they're facing. As I said at the very beginning, through trials, if we trust completely in YaHuWaH, He is the one guiding us on the way out of the trials. So keep them in your prayers, so YaHuWaH can guide them in solving the situation they are facing now. So keep Shirion, Dennis and Debbie in your prayers. I just came to my heart. That's why I interrupted you.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's something today. They need our support, our prayers.
And if for some reason, when you are participating in the chat, there is a name that you are missing, and that you ask yourself, "Oh, I remember that person." That is the moment that you need to pray for them, because for sure, I'm sure that usually, and it's like what happened to me, when you are facing some problem, it's like a moment that you want to be, I don't know, that you disappear from the face of the earth, because you are consumed by your problem. So it's the moment that we need to to take care about our brothers and our sisters. Yeah.
Also, I was praying for the Yaakov. I was referring to a brother, Yaakov Natzarim. I have not seen him in the chat for a while. So keep him in our prayers, so we can see him interacting with us and gathering with us once again.
Or that everything is going well with him.
Yeah, exactly. So I think your word is quite important. We need to pray for one another. If we skip sometimes the chat because we are not we're focusing in the study, but if you see somebody that is asking for the prayers in the chat, not only this word is going to the moderators, is for each one of you here. We are a beautiful family. That's the way that I feel it. So we need to pray for anyone that is asking for prayers. That's what we need to do. So sorry to interrupt you. I don't know where you were, but I needed to mention it.
Yeah, in the house. And here I think. And after that, the priest goes in to look at the house. And he shall look at the plague and see if the plague is on the walls of the house with sunken places, greenish or reddish, which appear to be in the wall.
Or blackish.
Or blackish, yeah. Then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house and shut up the house 7 days. Again, the 7 days, 7 days. And the priest shall come again on the 7th day and look and see if the plague has spread on the walls of the house. Then the priest shall command, and they shall remove the stones with the plague in them, and they shall throw them outside the city into an unclean place. Yeah. While he lets the house be scraped inside all around, and the dust that they scrape off, they shall put out in an unclean place outside the city. I think about all this process, the scraped inside all around and the dust, and I think that's the trial, that they are trying to remove all the bad things from us.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
and it's going to hurt because it's going to hurt, but it's better that it hurt us because they are removing something that we completely, without noticing, are be taken away to an unclean place. So I think that realizing that we are suffering, realizing that we are facing some trials, I think that it's even better.
I don't know why I remember when you were reading this about the red heifer. Because they were removing everything except a specific part of the animal. All the flesh, the skin, and so on.
And this is like a comparison.
It's a kind of comparison, with the only exception that, if I'm not wrong, they were looking into a clean place outside the camp. Here in this case, it's an unclean place. But it's interesting that somehow also we see a parallel with that offering. With the process of removing somehow the infections from the house outside the camp, and also connected to what happened with a person that is infected or a leper, removed from the camp to the outside.
I remember what we had to do with some pieces of wood that they were with the fungus and things like that. That we have to take it into some other place. We cannot keep it with the rest of the wood because this disease was going to spread in the wood one. So
correct.
That's the issue.
Let's move on.
And here, and they shall take other stones and put them in the place of those stones. And take other mortar and plaster the house. And if the plague comes back and breaks out in the house after he has removed the stones, after he has scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look and see if the plague has spread in the house. It is an active leprosy in the house. It is unclean.
I have my notes from here, and I think it's so relevant to mention it now. I think, this is applicable. All of what we're reading when we think spiritually is applicable in 3 levels. Okay? First one is a personal level. Second one is from the home, the place where we live, and also the place that we live, our household. And that's the second level. And the third level is his assembly. All this process that we're seeing and so on. And that's why I say, when
because he's going
remove
to
a stone and
remove
replace
the
them with
stones
other
and
stones.
replace.
So where you are, basically? It's the 43.
Yeah, and I'm going to
And
continue
the
here.
44. Okay, yes, not to forget. So we need to continue at 45. So let's go into just to explain about the three levels. So let's give an example. Let's go to the book of Matthew. Matthew YaHuWaH, chapter 5.
And you know that the altar needs to be made of whole stone. They cannot be
Yes,
cut.
that's
So
correct.
that is something.
So the verse 30 of the chapter 5 of the book of Matthew Yahushua is record that Yahushua said this. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away from you. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than your entire body to be thrown into Gehinnom. And actually, he said exactly the same in the 29. And if your right eye causes you stumble, pluck it out and throw it away from you. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than your entire body to be thrown into Gehinnom. So this is at the first level, the personal. So if there is something in us, and this is actually this home, that's the personal level. We need to remove it. And he was not referring that we need to cut physically the hand.
Well, maybe in some cases, like gangrene, when you have a disease,
Yes.
you have to cut it, or the infection is going to go.
Yeah,
all
but
the
when
way.
we talk about sin,
Yeah,
when we talk about sin, he's saying, okay, stop doing what you're doing.
yeah, until that,
Yes.
and then
In order not to your entire body to be infected with sin. The second aspect, I don't have the example here, but and we brought this into talking about our houses.
Yeah, and I think that one, the second one, maybe it could be applied to where it says, if somebody is, I don't know, you cannot, that part that it says that he's going to bring division inside of our houses, and and I don't remember what it says. You cannot put in a higher place than YaHuWaH, our Father. Even our kids, even our spouses, even anybody, our mother, our father, because he's first. And I think that also applies to something like that. Maybe we have a lot of love for them, but if they are going in a different direction, that they are keeping us apart from Abba, Abba is our first priority. And I think that is why he's saying to cut maybe some things.
Exactly.
And
you remember
if
when
he's going to provide healing, he's going to do it, and he's going to bring those that are in the other direction to the same direction that you are going.
When you remember what the Paul Shaul was writing about, I think it was in Corinthians or Romans, was in Corinthians, about the leaven.
Yeah.
We need to remove leaven.
Yeah.
If not, it's gonna puff up.
Yeah, and
the
the
entire
Bible,
life.
yeah.
So it's exactly the same. When we're talking about the second level household, everything that we have around us, that we were talking about the carved images in the past, you remember?
Yeah.
Something that somehow is bringing infections of sin in our environment. That somehow is opening the door for the evil spirits to come in. But
if we allowed, for instance, I don't know, bad languages in our house, if we're allowing situations that are not good at the eyes of our Abba, because we prefer to have a better family environment instead of living according his will.
You became a good cleaner, actually, even in
I
your
remove everything in my house.
your father's houses,
And I go into my father's houses and I throw everything away too.
Yeah. You don't need to do that, actually.
Yeah.
People needs to be convicted. We need to do it in our own spaces.
Yeah, that's true.
You learn the lesson, actually.
Yeah.
And the third level is the assembly. And let's see a few passages I have here. Let's go to the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 19-22, and this is important because of what is written in the portion. So then you are no longer strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens of the set-apart ones and members of the household of Elohim, having been built upon the foundation of the emissaries and prophets, YaHuWaH Messiah himself being the chief cornerstone, in whom all the building being joined together, plastered together, grows into the set-apart dwelling place in YaHuWaH, in whom you also are being built together into a dwelling of Elohim in the Ruach. So, you know, if we read this with calm and context, that he's saying that you and me are plastered together with everyone here. Everyone here are being plastered together, and all together are becoming the dwelling place of YaHuWaH. So all of us together, though they're also, you know, the scripture always have patterns of big things and smaller things. So though that we are ourselves, it is written, we are a temple. Our body is a temple of the Ruach of Elohim. We all together become also a dwelling place, a temple. So why this is important considering the third aspect? Let's go to the book of Kepha, Peter. This is First Peter, chapter 2. Let's go to the verse 4 and 8. Drawing near to him, a living stones, rejected indeed by men, but chosen by Elohim and precious. You also, as living stones, are being built up, a spiritual house. So it's in harmony with what we just read in the other passage from Paul, Shaul. A set-apart priesthood to offer up spiritual slaughter offerings acceptable to Elohim through YaHuWaH Messiah. So you are a rock, you are a stone, I'm a stone. Each one of them here are stone. All of us plastered together in order to become a dwelling place of YaHuWaH. If we are infected, that stone is going to be removed, and a new stone is going to be put in that place. And this is exactly what is written in the book of Revelation, that we need to do everything in our hands in order not to lose our crown. So it's the same thing. That's why, you know, we need to go from the inside out, but not when we think personally, but we need to, this working in the same way in the bigger scale from the inside out. If the entire building, all of us, are being joined together, one of us cannot be infected. And if it is infected, it could be that it can be removed.
So that's why there is a process of cleansing and scrapping, and we have to be taking care of that process. If we realize that there is something that is just being born and could lead us to be contaminated, we need to take care of that when it's the very beginning, when it is starting. It's easy to take care of a wound when it's just starting, and not leave the, time is going to heal. No, because we need to be conscious about that and ask Abba for that help.
That's why, and we mentioned this last week, now why the whole focus is in Israel. Because Abba is bringing the cleansing from inside out, first individually, then as an assembly, and then to the world. So it's like exactly the same process that we are reading here in the bringing cleansing of the infection, especially when now we're reading about the cleansing the house. So let's move on. 45. Good memory.
Yeah.
Surprised me.
Yeah.
Right.
And he shall break down the house, its stones and its timber and all the plaster of the house, and he shall bring them outside the city to an unclean place. And he who goes into the house all the days while it is shut up becomes unclean until evening. And he who lies down in the house has to wash his garments, and he who eats in the house has to wash his garments. However, if the priest indeed comes in and looks at it, and see that the plague has not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And to
Cleanse.
cleanse the house, he shall take 2 birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And he shall slay one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, and the hyssop, and the scarlet, and the live bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird and in the running water, and shall sprinkle the house 7 times. He shall thus cleanse the house with the blood of the bird and the running water and the live bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the scarlet. This is the Torah for an infection of leprosy and eruption, and for the leprosy of the garment and of a house, and for a swelling, and for a scab, and for a bright spot, to teach when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the Torah of leprosy.
Or the Torah of infections.
Of the Torah of infections.
No, it's beautiful to see how everything is connected to the plan of YaHuWaH in so different levels. How he's so concerned about us, his creation in every aspect.
Yeah.
You know? So let's read the 15 and let's see.
Yeah, it's shorter.
It's a short one, yeah. It was your time this week. I was reading last week at 59 verses. You were reading just 14. So now was the other way around.
Balance.
So let's see what it says. 15 verse 1 onward, it says, And YaHuWaH spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, When any man has a discharge from his flesh, his discharge is unclean. And this is his uncleanness in regard to his discharge, whether his flesh runs with his discharge, or his flesh is stopped up by his discharge, it is his uncleanness. And again, same question as we started all of this broadcast today. Why he's concerned about this, and how this is bringing, again, why this is bringing uncleanness, impurity, thinking spiritually, thinking in being able to approach the set apart place, and thinking from the Hebrew perspective. You remember that we mentioned last week, it's about this word tahor, being pure, and tamei, being impure or unclean, from the point of view of not being not being in synchrony, not being in the same frequency, being unbalanced, balance and imbalance. So if I'm unbalanced or I'm out of frequency, I'm not gonna be able to be in synchrony in order to listen to the radio station. Okay, this is tamei. If I'm tahor, I am imbalanced. Basically, I was able to put myself in the frequency in order to be able to listen to the radio station. Yeah,
you're not going to interrupt something.
Correct.
You are going to be integrated, and you're going to be like the rest. So everything is like plain, and everything is like perfect. But if you put something in a perfect surface, you put something that is bigger, that is smaller, something that is with a different color, that it has something that is different from the rest, then you're going to spot that. And if you have a top syndrome, like I have, then that is going to bother you somehow. So I think that usually YaHuWaH is like, he likes perfection. He likes, something clean, smooth, beautiful to appreciate. And then he realized that is healthy. But if you are seeing one spot here, one stain here, then that is something that it's,
Good.
Yeah.
So coming back to this point.
Yeah.
How this is all this thing, and what is behind actually this thing that is making us unclean to his eyes. We're talking about all type of emissions. We're gonna read about it, but just with the first 2 verses,
I think that is because
I'm talking from being unbalanced.
I think those are results. Maybe there are physical results that something is bad with you. Because if you think about that kind of discharge, for instance, if you're vomiting, if you have problem with your stomachs and you have, I don't know how to say it in English, but you have problems and you have to...
With number two.
Number two, yeah. And things like that. And secretion from your bodies and different ways from wounds and things like that.
What it means?
It means that something is not okay with your body.
So
it's not working properly. Okay. So it's you are showing the external result of that.
That's exactly there is an issue. That's exactly the point that I wanted to get. So all of this is basically a representation or is an evidence. It's something in his creation is not working right.
Yeah, maybe it was something that you eat, that it was poison. Maybe, I don't know, your body was in distress.
Correct.
You couldn't control it. Different things.
There is an abnormal situation.
Yeah, there is.
So that's something that is abnormal. So it's unbalanced.
Yeah.
It's not working according to the pattern he created.
Yeah.
Basically, this is the condition you are facing is putting you in a situation of imbalance according to the syntony or the frequency of Abba.
Yeah.
So that's why that's you being Tamei. Yeah. And you need to go through a process in order to remove and that's why he's bringing healing too.
Yeah.
Because when we're sick, we are somehow imbalanced. I'm not saying that we are impure, but most of these things that we are going to read here, most of the time are being connected to a disease. And that's why he's the one, in the same way that we were reading, we were talking to Angela the other day, when we're talking about the offerings and the teruma, is that he's the one providing, and then he's asking for teruma for the things that he's providing us, even though that he's the owner for everything.
Yeah.
So it's the same here. He created us because of sin, or because of his miracles, or because of other aspects, or because of the sin of the parents. We were talking last week. Maybe we are going through trials and diseases, but he's the one bringing healing, and he's the one somehow providing a way to be tahor once again. So I think that's exactly the concept here of and his main concern is for us to be balanced, in syntony with him, connected, that maybe our bodies are not working in the way it's supposed to work. Okay, so let's continue. Verse 4. Any bed becomes unclean on which he who has the discharge lies, and any object on which he sits become unclean. And anyone who touches his bed has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And he who sits on any object on which he who has the discharge sat has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And he who touches the flesh of him who has the discharge has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and shall be unclean until evening. And when he who has the discharge spits on him who is clean, then he shall wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean till evening.
Yeah, it doesn't say that you have to use a mask. It says that you have to wash.
Okay. Any saddle on which he who has the discharge rides become unclean. And whoever touches any of that which was under him is unclean until evening. And he who is carrying them up has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And anyone whom he who has the discharge touches without rinsing his hands in water shall wash his garments, and bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. One thing that is important to mention when we read this discussion, maybe we mentioned last week too, but I'm gonna say it once again. The discussions about the disciples of Mashiach eating without washing their hands. The traditions, and they're keeping it till today, is pushing them to basically apply things that are connected to approaching set apart things in a day-to-day lives. If I want to put it in a different angles, is that they are bringing some set apart things and they are taking it as a common thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's something that it has a very spiritual or not spiritual, set apart purpose. They
and
were
they're using
making
it in a day-to-day common thing.
Yeah, but maybe it's not bad, because I think that is kind of, now we have hygienics and things like that, and
For sure.
maybe, I don't know. For instance, when I think about that the Talmidim, they were not washing their hands, maybe they have a better immune system. Even they never had a disease, so they didn't care about that. But the other side, it becomes to do it so regularly that for them is really important. But then here we realize that there is a kind of period that you can be kind of contagious.
Correct.
And there is some hours, so until the evening. But if you wash, you're going to remove that situation, maybe possible dangerous situation, and you're not going to be contagious.
Absolutely.
So
let's continue. Verse 12.
And I think that these are because not everybody has the same immune system. There are people who are stronger, maybe there are weak. So these are for the keeping like the average and the better result. I think that is the idea.
He created a perfect system,
Yeah.
So it says, and the earthen vessel, which he who has the discharge touches, has to be broken. And every wooden vessel has to be rinsed
In water.
in water.
Why? You didn't wash?
Yeah, I did. I did. Yes, I did. Today I did.
Yeah.
I didn't wash my hair. I told you I'm not going to wash my hair after your comment anymore. No. I just came to my mind is that who's the one that is going to be thrown to the lake of fire? And I'm talking about people. Don't think on the people who was and is the lake of fire intended for.
For all those that are against the...
That was not the original intention. What was the original intention?
Of
For
the lake
whom?
of fire?
Yes.
For destroying the garbage? I don't know.
The
Consuming
fallen
the-
angels, Satan, the beast,
Mm.
and so on.
Mm.
That was the original intention, and that's what we see in the book of Revelation too. So we see here, all this uncleanness process and so on. Everything that the unclean being touches become unclean.
But it can be reversed, or
could
it
be
can be stopped with water.
Yes. So I don't know. When I was reading, I was thinking on Satan. Everything it touches is bringing uncleanness. And I don't know, maybe the final, when I was reading here, he was that the discharge touches has to be broken. The earthen vessel has to be broken. If we allow him to do whatever or touches, we're going to become unclean.
Well, in I remember about the story of Job, who was given the
Permission.
diseases. The permission was given by Abba.
But who was bringing all of
bringing the disease and everything and all the problem that he has? It was Satan. So maybe at some point, if we are far away from Abba, we are at the disposal of Satan, and he can do all of this. So that's why I think that it's so important always to look for the root and the causes of what is affecting us.
Who were the one bringing all of this increase on the understanding, technology, war, and so on? Were the fallen angels teaching humanity?
Yeah, and now it's
So
over the place.
Somehow they're bringing unclean beings,
Yeah,
bringing more uncleanness to the vessels, and sometimes those vessels, maybe they will need to be broken as or rinse on water
And that's
or
why
on fire.
that's why it's going to be all this cleansing process with fire at the end. And I
Correct.
think that is the moment when it says that he's going to take for a moment when he throw the fire in the earth, he's going to take for that moment the people just to avoid that they are consumed
Correct.
for all that fire.
Well, it just came to my mind and needed to get out. So it says, and when he who has the discharge is cleansed of his discharge, then he shall count for himself 7 days for his cleansing, and shall wash his garments, and shall bathe his flesh in running water, and be clean.
Wow, that's interesting. So if you're any way you are sick or something like that, you have to wash your clothes.
Exactly. You see?
No, but maybe there is a representation. I'm not joking. Maybe there is a representation. Now we have a lot of things advanced and it's easier. I
You
don't
need
know.
to do it by hand.
And I think that maybe when we are sick, maybe there is a kind of representation doing it by hand. Maybe it has kind of a link to a spiritual. I haven't think about that. It was, I don't know, like a joke, but I think that it has a more profound meaning.
Because it says that on the 8th day he takes for himself 2 turtle doves and 2 young pigeons, and shall come before YaHuWaH to the door of the Ohel Moed, the tent of appointment, and shall give them to the priest. And the priest shall prepare them, the one as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him before YaHuWaH because of his discharge. So this is this is really interesting. Is the process connected to what we were saying before? It's just to cleanse us and connected to creation, connected to what the fallen angels did. And the continuation of the fallen angels is the evil spirit.
Yeah.
So I think there's something more here. It needs to proper study. So let's continue. And when a man has an emission of semen, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until evening. And I had a question for you. What's your thought on this regarding evening? All this process of cleansing through water, it says that it will be unclean until evening. Why not until morning? Why until evening?
Well, I don't know. From my perspective, I think that is because during the day is when you are in contact with some other people. So maybe that's why. Yeah. So I think that maybe that's why, if it's going to turn again, leave it like that.
It's okay, but you can continue because I'm listening to you.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's the reason. That is and it's the moment. And also the other aspect is when you are going to sleep, is the moment when your body is like a laboratory. Everything is being healed. Everything is, while you're sleeping, all the healing is being made, and you even don't know about that. So I think that is the moment when something can be stopped. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe there's something happening during night.
Yeah.
He's saying that it's coming during the morning to check our kidneys.
Yeah.
But also somehow connected to the periods. The day is ending in my current understanding at evening. So it's just to confirming that you went through the cleansing process, and in that day it's finished.
Yeah.
And you are starting all over again.
Yeah.
A new phase.
Yeah. The issue is that now in our current days we are continuing our daily life even during night.
Correct.
But it's not something.
We don't do the transition basically.
Yeah, the right transition. Yeah.
And actually, what happened during night is, as you said, the body is going through a more calm state. During sleep, even you can have a lot of healing process and so on. So let's continue. 17. And in any garment and any leather on which there is semen shall also be washed with water and be unclean until evening. And when a woman lies with a man, and there is an emission of semen, they both shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And when a woman has a discharge, and the discharge from her flesh is blood, she has to be in her separation for 7 days. And whoever touches her is unclean until evening. And just to put a comment here, and we talked about this in the past, if you remember, all these processes that we just read somehow put us, even emotionally speaking, in a different mindset.
Yeah.
And let's put ourselves and let's think on this about the word tahor and tamei in the understanding of being balanced or unbalanced. When we are emotionally touched, we can say that we are not properly balanced.
Yeah.
So that's why I think somehow it's connected to the process. All of these situations, life situations, to the process of being unbalanced, being tamei, not be prepared in order to partake properly in the set apart things of YaHuWaH. Okay. 20. And whatever she lies on during her separation is unclean, and whatever she sits on is unclean. And anyone who touches her bed has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening.
And here we can relate the story of Rachel when she didn't stand before of his father.
And Laban didn't want to approach and respected that situation.
Because from the beginning it was like that. The nida.
And whoever touches any object that she sat on has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And if it is on the bed or on any object on which he sits, when he touches it, he is unclean until evening. And if a man lies with her at all, and her monthly flow is on him, he shall be unclean 7 days. And any bed he lies on is unclean. And when a woman has a discharge of blood for many days, and let me say something here. The verse 18. When a woman lies with a man and there is an emission of semen, they both shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. So the act, the sexual act itself, is an unclean act. It's not forbidden. Some ones believe. But it's an unclean act. And why I mentioned this, if we go into the Mount Sinai, YaHuWaH commanded Moses that they needed to not to touch any woman for 3 days. In order to prepare themselves to approach somehow the mountain. And why is like the process of approaching the set apart place of YaHuWaH? And why is that? How we understand that request? Because he's saying here is that basically the act is an unclean act. You're going to become unclean until evening. Okay. Why is that? And I think you mentioned something before the broadcast when we were discussing. We didn't even had the chance to read it, but we were discussing this. Is that it's connected to life.
Because
semen is connected to life.
The nida or the menstruation is also related to life that is not there anymore. So they are instead of life is connected to death because sperm has a potential of life. The menstruation are all the tissues, all the what is that not conception was being made. So those are the process of the consequence of a death, a possible death. So that I think that is what is bringing you to an unclean state.
Yep, I think, we mentioned something about that last week. So I do believe that,
and that's why also when people are being dead, and why you cannot touch dead corpse and things like that. Dead bodies, not dead corpse.
So let's continue from the 22. And whoever touches any object that she sat on, no, I think you will read that one. The 23. And if it is on the bed or on any object on which she sits, when he touches it, he is unclean until evening. And if a man lies with her at all, and her monthly flow is on him, he shall be unclean 7 days. And any bed she lies on is unclean. And when a woman has a discharge of blood for many days, other than at the time of her monthly separation,
so
or when
this is talking about longer.
And in this one somehow applies the story that we see in the book of Luke with the woman with the discharge of blood. With
12 years.
12 years, exactly. Other than at the time of her monthly separation, or when she discharges beyond her usual time of monthly separation, or nida. All the days of her unclean discharge shall be as the days of her monthly separation. She is unclean.
I remember, sorry to talk about that, but usually your father and I like that story that he like received this understanding that that situation of the woman with the blood issue for 12 years, it was related to the 12 tribes. So I found it very fascinating. And if we think about the regular person, not everybody is the same days, but
that is
usually
the second part of that.
Yeah.
Because and the whole story of the healing of the woman with the blood issue, after she is clean, Mashiach is going to the house to heal the little girl.
Yeah. And
she was
also
died and was resurrected, and she had 12 years.
12 years, yeah.
So basically, my dad back then understood that was when he believed in the replacement theory that was the church being replaced by Israel. But actually, in the way that I see it now, it's a representation of being born again, because she was dead. So this one is being healed and is being born again, 12 years, as a new woman.
And I think about the disciples too, that they were part of that renewal and born again, and all the process that Mashiach brought, that the opportunity of being born again. But if you think about a person who has a regular period for saying, usually 3 days maybe, and like visually. And I think about the tribes when they were separated, how many tribes there were. It was Yehuda, it was the
10 plus 2.
What?
The tribe separated. This is what you're talking about.
Yeah. But it was Yehuda, it was the half tribe of Manasseh, and they have the other one, Benjamin. So it was like you represent one is the total, and the other was kind of a, I don't know.
Yeah, let's continue.
My connections.
26. It says, any bed on which she lies all the days of her discharge is to her as the bed of her monthly separation, and whatever she sits on is unclean, as the uncleanness of her monthly separation. And anyone who touches them is unclean, and shall wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. I think there is a direct connection here to Jerusalem that it will require more time to go in depth on this this study. Because, it's uncleanness is related to blood issues. It's a woman that everything that she touches, it could become unclean. And we know that Jerusalem is being represented as a woman that is going to be condemned and judged because of a shedding of blood. So there's a blood issue with Jerusalem.
It's not only shedding by killing somebody, it's also by the acts. Yeah.
Correct. But if she's cleansed of her discharge in the 28th, then he shall count. She shall count for herself 7 days, and after that she is clean. And on the 8th day she takes for herself 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and shall bring them to the priest, to the door of the tent of appointment. And the priest shall prepare the one as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering. And the priest shall make atonement for her before YaHuWaH for the discharge of her uncleanness. And, in the way that is finishing here, this passage, this chapter, I think is somehow a culmination just to understand why YaHuWaH is bringing all of this. And he's talking about this. Because he said, thus you shall separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, lest they die in their uncleanness when they defile my dwelling place which is in their midst. All of this is related to being tahor, to approach his special place. And this is bringing an additional reinforcement that when he's establishing his kingdom here on earth, everything needs to be purified, and he's doing it with fire. And that's why, now is the time for us to live according to these instructions, to know how to get into that balanced condition. Though that living in this world, we are going to be unbalanced sometimes, balanced other times, but keeping always in mind that every time that we want to approach him, or we want to approach his set-apart place, or we want to be used by him, I would say, in a set-apart way, we need to be in a balance, we need to be in a tahor condition. This is the Torah for one who has a discharge, and for him who emits semen and is unclean thereby, and for her who is seeking her monthly separation, and for one who has a discharge, either man or woman, and for him who lies with an unclean woman. Sometimes it is very difficult to understand all these instructions. At the first time that you are reading it, what is he talking about?
Oh, sometimes some people say, this is things that are related to the past because they have different hygienic, they were living in the desert, that's why they need it. But I think that is so applicable today and to what is coming.
Yes. He is the owner of wisdom. That's why I think it's applicable, as I was said, in different levels in our day-to-day activities, but also keeping the understanding that this is more profound meaning, spiritual meaning, connected to the portion of his plan of restoration. And somebody's sniffing over there. So we need to go and take care of them. Another one.
Bless you.
So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for being so...
Did Abraham and Sarah sleep in the same bed?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't know. We will need to ask them. I have my theories about it.
My baby, they have some different tents. Well,
yes, but that's for another study. It's a little bit controversial. So no controversy today.
Or maybe he accepted to be unclean until evening, and then he...
Oh, the camera is turning off because it's telling us that it's time. Let me turn it on.
A lot time ago is what's time, so...
So it's turning on again.
And we are going to...
Here we are. So thank you so much for joining us today, for being patient with us, though we were studying online with you today. But I think it was nice. I like it very much. I enjoy it, actually. More than have a clear structure, is just to move ahead with what we're feeling and studying together today. So that's, I think, is a beautiful way to do it. Keep everybody on your prayers. Pray for Chirion, pray for the Jacob, pray for anyone that is asking for prayer here. Enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Have a blessed week. Stand firm in the way of YaHuWaH. Though we are going through trials and seasons of testing, He is beside us and He will be with us, showing us His miracles. So we're going to finish, like always, with a song. So Shabbat Shalom to you all.
Shalom.
See you next week. YaHuWaH be with you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Is like him, the lion and the lamb, seated on the throne. Mountains bow down and every ocean roars to the Lord of hosts. Praise Adonai, from the rising of the sun till the end of every day. Praise Adonai, all the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise. Who is like him, the lion and the lamb, seated on the throne. Mountains bow down and every ocean roars to the Lord of hosts. Praise Adonai from the rising of the sun till the end of every day. Praise Adonai. All the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise. Sing praise. Who is like him, the lion and the lamb, seated on the throne? Mountains bow down and every ocean roars to the Lord of hosts. Praise Adonai from the rising of the sun till the end of every day. Praise Adonai. All the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise Adonai from the rising of the sun till the end of every day. Sing praise Adonai. All the nations of the earth, all the angels and the saints sing praise.